Storytelling animation revolutionized media, made a whole new way to express creativity, art, and story. Many beloved art styles and immersive worlds diversely demonstrate the power of animation when put into the right hands. The beginnings of animation consisted of rapidly moving pictures that tricked the eye into thinking it was a moving image. The Wheel of the Devil was one invention that used this tactic. Successive pictures were laid inside this wheel and spun, alluding to movement. One of the first semi-animated films used a similar idea. The Enchanted Drawing, made in 1900, used physical props that would move slightly between each frame and made it seem like the picture was moving.
As animation became more widespread, one of the most popular animated films emerged, releasing in November 1928, Steamboat Willie. This film was created by Walt Disney, who at the time wasn't very well known. The film established one of the most popular and recognizable fictional characters ever, Mickey Mouse. Once it was released, it blew up. Disney's ability to incorporate synchronized sound heavily distinguished it from other animators, bringing a new form of entertainment and revolutionizing storytelling. After the first release, demanded of the public, the short played at the largest theater in the world, and what was established after this was the most popular animation company ever. Then as Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio, now as Walt Disney Animation Studios. The company's quality had improved dramatically over the years. Its next hit was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This film was in color, and had even gotten an Academy Award, being recognized as significant screen innovation, which has pioneered a great new entertainment field for the motion picture. Its highly praised voiceovers, art, and animation quality set a high bar for animation at the time. Many more amazing works were produced by Disney throughout the early years, such as Pinocchio, Dumbo, and Bambi. Disney had been asserting itself as a leading animation film industry and had redefined the film industry forever. Many different genres and animation companies were created and established after Disney. While he had started and perfected traditional animation, there were others that emerged from its image: 2D animation, 3D animation, and CGI, each one having their own way to convey art, to express creativity in storytelling, and demonstrate the power of animating.
Anime is an animation style that originated in Japan that has commonly used traditional animation to make shows and films. One of the most well-known anime producers that uses this style is Studio Ghibli. Ghibli originated before animation branched from traditional animation to computer animation. Hayao Miyazaki, a young man living in Japan, was inspired to take up a career in animation. He got hired by a very popular animation company, Toei Animation, and worked back and forth on multiple films. He was so dedicated, he even worked in multiple precarious situations. Miyazaki eventually teamed up with one of his employers and fellow animators to create Studio Ghibli in 1985. Many of their films take place in bizarre worlds and have interesting, but mostly charming characters. The continuing theme in most of their films is growing and maturing, connections to nature, and finding a sense of self. The first movie they created was Laputa Castle in the Sky in 1986. The film was about two orphans discovering a completely new world in the sky and were obligated to protect it from greedy people.
After Castle in the Sky blew everyone away with Ghibli's beautiful watercolor landscapes, gripping story, and bright characters, more films were being created. 1989's Kiki's Delivery Service followed a young girl traveling on her own to train as a witch for a year. She found herself facing many challenges, like belonging and internal motivation. She had little friends and felt awkward in social situations, and lost her magic because she didn't know why she wanted to do the things she did.
More films were made by Miyazaki, but his most revered film is none other than 2001's Spirited Away. The movie is about an extremely frightened, weak-willed, pouty 10-year-old girl who trembles at the sight of large radishes, and she needs to save her parents and get out safely. By the end of the movie, after she left the deranged world, she had many friends and now was a strong, confident, brave girl who was ready to face moving into her new home.
Ghibli is a classic example of peak anime, and even animation as a whole. The animators expertly use traditional animation's ability to have beautiful hand-drawn art. The characters they create are full of charm and symbolism. Overall, Ghibli is an amazing homage to animation's ability to create amazing landscapes, characters, and their emotions, and story when put into masters' hands.
While Ghibli reigned as the king of traditional animation, other animation styles were being developed, and animators were experimenting with computer technology.
In the 1973 film Westworld, computer animation was used to transform camera footage into a pixelated version of the robot's POV. After the release, the technology caught the attention of popular film directors like George Lucas and Ridley Scott. George Lucas especially was interested in pursuing computer animation, and put together a team of the most capable computer graphics designers and created his own division of computer animation. After a few years, this team morphed into the one and only Pixar Animation Studios.
The studio's very first film changed animation and even modern technology forever. This was, of course, 1995's Toy Story. Technology they had wasn't as advanced as it is now, so the animators had to get creative. The software they had was mostly constricted to geometric shapes, so any organic or lifelike shapes were uncanny and plasticky. This was, well, pretty good for a movie about plastic toys coming alive. However, a bigger problem that required more creative solutions were the human characters. Human bodies and faces were more complicated to draw with the tools available than the toys. The animators debated taking the faces out entirely by only having shots of their legs, but the Pixar team was able to create a character model of the main character, Andy. They reused his face over and over and over to make all the other humans. All of them. He's everywhere. Toy Story is a great demonstration of how when new technology is created, animation will come with it. Sometimes even the other way around. The creation of a fully 3D computer animated film changed the animation industry forever because it had never been done. It shows that animation is a powerful and versatile tool that allows a ton of creativity to be used. This is another reason why animation is so revolutionary. 3D animation isn't the only kind of computer animation either. Each different use of computer technology has their own way to express animation's capabilities.
Some good examples of 2D animation would be A Silent Voice, a movie about mental struggles in youth and the consequences of one's actions. Your Lie in April teaches the acceptance of moving on from loss and being able to move forward rather than letting your past mistakes keep you down. 2D animation works a bit like traditional animation, using frame-by-frame procedures and similar shading and lighting techniques. However, what differentiates the two is that 2D animation is used on a computer, and character models and rigs are reminiscent of 3D animation. Most 2D animation are made for children, however there are exceptions, like the films mentioned earlier, other anime, and a few others. Like this. It's not an anime.
These are good examples of 2D animation's best works. The hand-drawn style gives a more modern feel to the traditional ways, as well as having the capabilities to create more advanced art. But those aren't the only kinds of computer animation. In fact, the very original use of computers wasn't meant for fully animated films. This is commonly known as CGI.
A few examples are Avatar, Ready Player One, Avengers Endgame, and the earlier mentioned Westworld. One way this is done is by creating a character model. Basic 3D shapes make a simple form, and more of them build up to create complicated organic forms. Real actors will wear suits that have trackers in them, and each one is linked to certain parts of the digital model. This makes the actor able to control the computer animated form by using motion capture. This is how characters like Thanos, the Na'vi, and the Avatars are created in their respective movies. Worlds like Pandora and huge battles like the Avengers Endgame climax are other awe-inspiring creations of CGI. CGI can bring impossible-looking worlds and characters to the table of animation. Animation is the ability to always be able to use the modern day's best technology to create unique films. Animation's strength to be ever-evolving and ready for creative flexibility is another reason it's so revolutionary. This ability allows so much creative and inspiring content to be produced.
But CGI isn't the only kind of animation that's been evolving, especially recently. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was a very creative film that was able to combine the strengths of both 2D and 3D computer animation. It was very successful, and the art style was unlike anything ever seen.
Other films were released that used the success of that animation style as well. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish both used the 2.5D style and were also extremely successful. Other kinds of unique computer animated styles are also apparent.
Films like Wish, Bad Guys, and Nimona all use an interesting storybook reminiscent style that is unique like Spider-Verse. Studio Ghibli also released a new film, The Boy and the Heron, recently, which won many awards.
The flexible boundaries of animation are reasons so many styles are available, and many have yet to be discovered. The awe-inspiring worlds, charming and philosophical characters, and unique and creative styles are all reasons why animation has revolutionized media and storytelling and demonstrates the immense positive power it has on the world.